So last night I finally knocked another film off of my list, my list of the it's on my list of things I need to read or watch, etc. And so The Green Knight from 2021. It's a one of those pandemic production films, and it shows. But I liked it. I liked it. I don't have a good reference point because I have only ever known fractions of these stories because chronologically they take place at the end of King Arthur's reign, and there's a whole lot, you know, going on that is just of deep interest, right? One of the things that it does that is food for thought for anybody in this age is the very hold on a second. That it was an accident. Anyway, flares are up and shit. Hold on. We're good. Yeah. Was the pagan Christian kind of hybrid faith going on, right? There seemed to be it seemed to be in this nature of that reconciliation of the ending world of magic and that beginning world of Christendom. Right, so it fits with all those tropes in a way where it's not demonizing paganism, although it does deal with that theme of paganism, right? I think that there's a kind of a subtext that the Green Knight himself is a demon, right? Because the Green Knight, he's an ent. He's basically an ent. He's the Green Man in every respect. So, or at the very least, the Green Knight is the champion of the Green Man, and thus also would have a similar appearance. And there's this underlying, which makes the ending so interesting. There's this underlying, like, what's the point of all this, right? And I think that that's one of the interesting things about it, right? Because maybe I have to watch it one more time to make sure I didn't miss anything in the opening scene, right? Because in the opening scene, you've got not the opening scene, but basically like the first scene. You've got the Green Knight comes into the court. It's not even the opening scene now that I think about it, because there's a whole scene beforehand that sets up what Gawain's doing there and all that. And so, anyway, this is very early on, you know, in the film. This is like the first act, you know? So, you know, Gawain's there. I think he's basically like a squire in the court, and he's family to the king and all that shit. But he's a young guy, and you know, he's the kid who, like I think very much it's kind of like a post-epic, right? It's just like, okay, here's King Arthur, the guy who had slain X, Y, and Z people, made all these conquests, built all these brotherhoods with all these others. And, you know, there's nothing going on really in the kingdom per se. So it's Christmas, the knight shows up, and there's like this magical contract that he reads. You know, it's an offer to like kind of like have a quote duel with him, but ultimately the duel is just, it's like this thing, I don't know, it's this thing, he calls it a game, where he kneels, right? He kneels before Gawain, and offers his head, just like that. You know, Gawain doesn't understand why the guy's not defending himself. And he goes, he cuts his head off. Now, the terms of the thing, which were said before he cut the guy's head off, was like, okay, this time next year, you have to meet me at my place, and now I get to end you the way you ended me. And you know, because when he took off the knight's head, you know, he's an ent. He's like a wood nymph, like he's something, right? He's a man made of wood with a bark skin, you know, vines and things for a beard, and he looked awesome. And you know, he just picks up his head, and the head starts talking. It's like 1 year hence, and he rides out, right? All right, so now this guy's made a deal. He's made this deal with a being that, like, you see, like, that's the, like, it's a demon, but it's not a demon, right? But I can see where there's kind of that demon attitude lying underneath without being so is insulting to the pagan creatures in this story. One of those things I just find funny and interesting about it, right? It's that Christian reconciliation with the pagan world, right? Which, you know, it's not the worst thing, you know, because if you're somebody who just wants to be done with Christianity, it would be nice that there's a model for people that don't want to be done with Christianity, where Christianity makes sense, or whatever, right? You know, so like, and Gawain does, like, because I can't see what the, why, there's two things I don't understand. I feel like I have to watch the scene again, hear the contract out, right? It was just like, what if nobody did anything, right? It's just like the contract could have been better written or something. Because he's coming in tempting somebody to murder him. It's like, come here, all right, will you murder me? Right? Because then he gets to murder him. And he doesn't get to come back. I mean, he's a Christian. So, yeah, no, he doesn't get to come back. You know, so because he doesn't, you know, at least that's where his mind is at. That's what you're like, whether you do come back or not is not the point. The point is in your mind, your thinking is this is going to be it, and I'm not going to come back because I'm not like the Green Knight. I don't have superpowers where my head can be severed and then I can pick it right back up. Ugh, right? Detached from the body and ride out headless and everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, we know that there's a certain way that things went, the honor code with challenges and so on and so forth, and that still translates, you know, as a Christian thing as much as it translates as a pagan thing, in this particular context of Christianity, which is just really kind of Christian sugarcoating pagan things, but it's just like, because I'm sitting there, I'm watching the scene. It's okay. So you just took his head. You do know that now you have to sit there and let him take your head off in a year? That's what you. Why'd you do that? He didn't even fight you. Like, you could have like nicked him in the shoulder and said like, "Good sport," and I'll get nicked in the shoulder in a year. I don't know. Or he could have put on a show at the court. Like, because as far as I understand, there didn't seem to be a downside other than, I don't know, reputation or something. Which that's all based on how you handle it, right? It's just like, because I guess like the respectful thing to do is to say aye, and then you get there, then you see the terms of the fight. The terms of the fight is that he lays down his axe. All right? There he is, defenseless man. Regardless of the fact that he came in with these terms for a thing, but it didn't seem like there was a reason to do it. I mean, like, if nobody did anything, so it's one of those things where, like, the premise is offbeat, and I think that this movie is supposed to be accurately based on the sources, like, as far as those overarching critical plot points are concerned. So this is like the setup, like this is the movie, right? And so there's definitely a character judgment about what it is to be this kind of a knight. And by the way, that paganism, there's definitely Norse. There's runes in it. Elder Futhark rune, there's rune magic. There's rune magic, and there's and then of course there's always that distinction. You know, he's the Pendragon. He's got to have the pentacle, right? The 5-pointed star. Big part of that imagery. You know, I believe, you know, like Merlin's not in the film, which makes sense because Merlin's probably long gone. But there's plenty of dudes in pointy hats. There's lots of dudes in pointy hats in the court. I would have to go back over Arthurian legend to understand what that is, which I'm assuming is there in the Arthurian legends, are dudes not Merlin with that look like mages. Like, it also might be that, like, they're kind of playing with a funny kind of Christianity, right? So at any rate, so, you know, the knight shows up to do this dueling game that is like, I think that it's supposed to represent like some ultimate sense of courage. I'll just show up here, take a knee, and let you take my life. Do you have the character to do the same? Right? And, you know, and to really kind of boil things down to why we fight. Right? Was he really picking a fight? It seemed like there was an out for everybody. Except, I guess, like, maybe you're just always considered a coward if you turn down such a fight. You know, maybe it has something to do with their feelings about paganism as a whole, right? Because I'm thinking here's a creature. This is a creature of Vanaheim, right? This is the kind of knight that would be in service of Freyr, right? I find it interesting that later on in the film there's a scene where there's a hunter who slays a giant boar. You don't see this, you know, the boar's been slain. It's off camera. You see the boar dead on the road as Gawain's leaving later on in the film with his journey. I'm thinking, oh, there's a boar. You know, so like there's definitely there's definitely the Germanic pagan going on in here, right? There's like this sash thing that goes around Gawain's waist that's got like a runic thing on it and whatever. I kind of think that maybe is like implying hold on a sec. Oh, I'm very early. Implying Thor's belt. Thor just doesn't pick up the hammer. He needs a belt and he needs gloves to pick up the hammer. Yeah. What's up, Nicholas? Sun hasn't come up yet. Utah. Oh. Should be up really, really, really soon, though, because Utah's, what, 3 hours back? You know, like, when I got up, the sun was up, and that was like 2 hours ago. Yeah, whatever. All right. But yeah, no. So there's a lot of things that are just interesting that get invoked in this film. Another interesting thing that was invoked in this film were the giants. You see Jotun, but I think these Jotun that we're looking at are not Norse Jotun. They're not like I think they were showing us Nephilim or the children of the Nephilim, if you will, because like all of these Jotun were bald. They spoke an archaic tongue that is hard to hear because the tone of their voice is such a great bellow. They all had breasts. They all kind of had hips, but they all looked like dudes at the same time. And I'm like, this wouldn't. I don't think there'd be a Norse depiction of Jotuns in the androgen as a whole. These are hermaphroditic giants. That's what I was looking at. So I'm pretty sure they're depicting hermaphroditic giants. So that is so that's another interesting thing where you feel in the vibe because the Norse-isms are there, and then you're feeling the vibe because the Christianisms are there. And the Indo-European soul right now is, I think, having that internal question, that internal contest about as we dive deeper into our mythos and our history through the anthropology, through the archaeology, and we compare everything. We're looking and we're asking ourselves, are we really, is Norse mythos different than biblical mythos in reality? Even I sometimes look at the language, right? But then again, I'm, I also know that a great deal of the biblical mythos is reconstituted using aspects of Greek mythos with various name changes down the line. Yeah. And so that changes the game dramatically. So at any rate, I am going to get myself ready for work because I still got to put a shirt on. I will catch you guys later. I may have more commentary on The Green Knight because I may want to watch at least a few scenes over again because I kind of want to nail down that contract and kind of speak a little bit more about it because the movie asks you to carry on this interest of watching this guy just... Did he just agree to just die in a year? He literally just agreed to die in a year because he wanted to kill a supernatural man now. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like it's an epic adventure, but it doesn't serve any purpose but his own fucking glory. of a heroic defeat of a supernatural being based on people's attitudes about that supernatural being. So, don't ask me. I don't know. I don't think so. All right. Catch you later.